Frumess talks about Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Let's all talk about Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Hey, what's going on? We're doing a driving review. That's right. We're coming to you live in the car while I'm driving, paying attention to the wheel and whatnot. So I watched this movie called Gaia on Hulu from South Africa. Very interesting film. Very slow. The pacing is slow, but that's okay. I don't mind that. We don't see a lot of fungal horror. It was nice to see some eco-fungal horror around. Fungal meaning fungi, meaning fungus among us. And, this fungus is something that has lived in the earth longer than, as they say in the movie, before apes became man. This thing was around, and it's basically this giant fungus. It's the world's oldest organism, and it's slowly sort of evolving to take over people. From my understanding, I've not played The Last of Us, but it's my understanding that The Last of Us features, sort of fungus zombies, and that's kind of like what it seemed like when I was watching this film. These people, they got taken over by funguses. The same sort of situation with the real life zombie. They call them zombie ants. It's a fungus that takes over ants and causes them to do strange things and behave in strange ways. That you hear this about certain types of wasps that lay their eggs inside of caterpillars and force these caterpillars to defend the eggs until they hatch or something. I don't know. But this is like the fungus version of it. And then they said, well, what if it's not in ants? How about if it's in people? And that's kind of like what The Last of Us is, I guess. And then this is kind of similar to that. I'm actually very excited for The Last of Us show that is coming on HBO. I think that'll be good. Probably looking to cash in, probably to do something along the lines of Game of Thrones, but cash in on The Walking Dead all at the same time. In any case, Gaia, it's interesting. They're speaking another language, and forgive my ignorance, my worldly ignorance. I think it's some sort of language that is indigenous to South Africa. I don't know if it's Dutch or Afrikaans or something along those lines. They're speaking another language that I wasn't familiar with. And then they'd switch from English back to this language. There's a father and a son, and they kind of live, they live this very sort of primitive, I guess you would call them primitive survivalists. And he used to be a plant scientist, botanist, and his wife passed away. She died. She became one of the fungus creatures, and their son doesn't really talk too much, and she develops this relationship with, I don't know who she is, like a park ranger or something. They have these drones in the air, and it gets the survivalist primitive people take them down. They're not really primitive though, but they're sort of isolating themselves from the world, and they're sort of preparing themselves for the humanity being taken over by these funguses. And later on in the film, it's interesting, you do see this sort of it's not parable, it's the story of Abraham sacrificing Isaac to God, because this guy they worship the fungus creature, the big fungus creature that's sort of the source of all these fungal spores. He's ready to sacrifice his son to the fungus. And then what's funny is the park ranger, this woman, she comes in at the last moment, and it's just like with the story of Abraham and Isaac, God or, Yahweh or whoever stops Abraham at the last moment from killing his beloved son, his only son, whatever. I think he had more sons after. I think Isaac is his second son, right? I don't know. It's convoluted. In any case, very interesting story. The father is a very wiry looking guy, really, perfect for the part. And it's interesting to see their survivalist lifestyle. The creatures are really freaky deaky looking. When people, they grow into fungus, so you kind of got that, you get a little bit of that body horror aspect that your body is working against you, because isn't that that's what body horror is, right? Body horror is the idea that your body is turning against you in some way that's beyond your control. And so we see that as well in the film. I definitely recommend checking it out. It's on Hulu, and it's, if anything, if I could sort of give it a little, criticism, it's that I feel like it didn't really end up going anywhere. It was interesting enough for me to watch. I definitely was enjoying it, but I wanted a little bit more of a button, a punch, or whatever, at the end of the show, the end of the film. Didn't really quite get that in the way that I was hoping. And the kid eventually at the very end, he goes and he lives in the real world again, so we see that the real world does exist, and he's eating a burger at a fast food joint, and we see the fungus spreading onto the burger. So the kid has the fungus inside of him, and now the world is going to end. So check it out for sure. There you go. Short and sweet. That's what I want to get back to, the short and sweet reviews. I think I've been getting a little crazy with the long reviews. I don't need to explain every single thing beat by beat, although that is fun to do, but it requires meticulous note-taking. I definitely would have done more films this year if I didn't have to do all this uploading and note-taking while watching films. I'm going to try and increase it. I'm going to try and do the reviews more like this, to my detriment. I mean, nobody's really watching these things anyway. I don't know, or at least I'm not covering movies that I guess are iconic enough that deserve the click attention, whatever you want to call it. In any case, I'll see you tomorrow with another movie review. Bye-bye.